On the left is a guy named Steve Schultz. He calls himself a prophet of God. And on the right is Patriot Barbie. If you don't know her, she ran a nail salon or a hair salon or something during COVID and refused to shut it down and got like fined by OSHA for a whole bunch of health violations and stuff. And pretended to be a victim, of course. You know how these types of people do. And did the whole circuit of talk shows and everything complaining about how persecuted she is. Well, she goes on this supposed prophet's Facebook page, the Elijah list, where he gets a bunch of different prophets on, supposed prophets. Anyway, he gets her on to talk about her terrible mistreatment at the hands of COVIDiots, if you will. And I wanted to listen to what she had to say. It's just ridiculous. This isn't part one. If you didn't see the other, don't sweat it. This ends independently of the rest. I'll give context if it's missing. And while we listen, we're going to play some Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Should just be in the background. Won't bother you too much. You never played before. All right, let's give this a listen.
Where, because you obviously knew of God and probably knew you should be serving him, but you said you probably weren't. At what point did you reach down and you and God started doing business together?
The moment she realized that that's what she had to do to get tons of money out of people, I would say that's probably when.
However you would put it, I don't want to put any words to it in your mouth. When did that take place, and how did that take place?
Well, that is a distinct moment that I can recall.
I bet.
And even feel still to this day.
Really?
The beautiful thing is that it was not in the trial. The beautiful thing is that it was when I had fought this fight and I lost. So what you saw in the video about Antifa targeting me.
Oh my God, dude. Antifa did not target you, okay? Such a victim. Give it a rest. All right, I was actually targeted by an extremist group. I don't talk about this all the time because it's like not really relevant, and I'm not using it to get sympathy or whatever, but I understand what it's like to be targeted by extremist groups. You know, people slashing my tires and honking their horns every 15 seconds when they drive by my house and taking pictures through my windows in the middle of the night and all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah, I was there for all of this. I've experienced it. She had nothing but a swell of support from people. People obsessed with making her out to be the victim. And it's a joke. She is a joke. She's not persecuted. Get over yourself.
That is what caused me to lose everything in Oregon. It wasn't the government. It was the cancel culture that decided I was a murderer.
The cancel culture. You mean people just like not wanting to spend their money at your shop anymore? That's not cancel culture. That's capitalism, baby. That's what it's all about. Are you serious with this?
I was a white supremacist. I was a nationalist. I was a far right-wing extremist, and I was a danger to the community. All of my stylists walked out on me. People started canceling their gym memberships. They started calling and canceling their Tan Republic memberships. We were getting death.
Was such a victim.
Threats like nonstop every minute on the minute.
Yeah, I was getting death threats too every minute on the minute. People threatening to like kidnap my kid and stuff, saying that I'd brainwashed my kid and for her own good, she should be taken away. It was deeply disturbing, psychotic shit. Seriously. Like, I cannot put into words how disturbing and psychotic it got for me. She had nothing but support all the way down. People on her side yelling in her favor and complaining that she's being mistreated and all this stupid shit. Get over yourself, okay? You're not mistreated. You're not a victim.
At every business. And we ultimately lost all of our businesses in Oregon. We had to sell our home and we had to leave Oregon and move to Arizona. That was in September. So I opened in May, June, July, August. It only took 4 months for them to destroy everything that we had built for 12 years.
Okay, I don't know what she's talking about or how much of anything that she says is even real. But if that's true, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry that you lost yourself. I don't want you to like lose anything. She's pretending to be a victim here when she's simply not. She's the victimizer. She's the one who forced employees to work during a pandemic. And if they didn't, then they were fired. She was the victimizer.
And there was a day that I think I had one stylist left. She had been one of my best friends since high school. And she said, I'm sticking with you through all of this.
Good
But the
for
very
her.
last, the very last person in the salon had walked out on me other than her. And
Walked out on her.
the gym owner said, you guys, you got to sell to me. People are canceling left and right. This thing's going to go under if we don't get you out of here. And we got to sell the tanning salons. We got to move. Our kids are being threatened. We're not safe here, and we can't be successful here. And I sat in my truck and realized that my life would never be the same. Whatever I had done for 12 years, everything I'd worked for, it was gone. And there was nothing I could do to get it back. I couldn't apologize. I couldn't control this, right? So I had to realize God was in control, not me, because this was something I could not control. And I'd always had control of my life. There was nothing I could do to preserve what was happening to us. And it was over. My life was over. And I had to decide then and there. This was like my Job moment, right? Where I'd lost everything.
Job moment. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is when you don't want to praise God, because this is when you look at God and go, you just ruined my life. You allowed my life to be ruined. Why? Well, I believed, and I was raised in church, and I was raised on the Bible, and I was raised with the Jesus that I know today, which is that he loves you. He wants the best for you. And his plan is always greater than yours. And so in that moment, I had to decide, I could rebuke the Lord and say, screw you, you've ruined my life. I'm going to go do what I want to do. Or I could recognize that if God, the God that loved me and had a good plan for me and felt my pain, knew this was happening, then he had something better, right? And this life, I loved it. I loved my life in Oregon. So I'm talking to him intimately and saying, I know you're allowing this, but I trust you. I trust that you are the God.
I'm not even convinced that she's a believer, honestly. It seems like a grift to me at first glance. Like, maybe I'm wrong, but she's definitely a scam artist. She's definitely a grifter, even if this specific thing isn't, seems to me.
That has something better. So if I loved this life and I had wealth and financial security and friends and an amazing community around me and was successful, if I loved that, what in the world do you have for me that's better? But I don't know what it is.
You saw in the future. I mean, that is so rare.
You saw in the future. She what?
In that moment, I would think. I can't imagine that being a perspective other people would have.
Well, and I didn't know what he had for me. That was it's one thing to say, oh, I've lost everything. And then immediately Fox News sweeps in and says, we're going to pay you $2 million a year for a show, right?
What? Holy Christ, I did not hear that. Well, that's not very much, honestly, considering how much Fox News has to burn. But, oh my God, $2 million a year? That is crazy. I did not realize.
Right? Oh, well then, yay, this is the plan for me. I'm excited. I didn't have that. I didn't have anything. I had, my businesses are gone. We're selling our home. We're moving to Arizona. Neither of us have a job. Neither of us have a career. We have no income. We have no retirement plan. I have a brand new baby and 2 other kids, and we have no idea what we're going to do. But I trust you, Lord. There was nothing lined up. There was no Patriot Barbie. There was no...
I mean, she had a ton of money already. I don't know if you guys already... Or I don't know if you saw the first part of this, but... She was already filthy rich. She had multiple stores open that she didn't even have to manage. Somebody else could manage them for her. She just had to sit on her laurels and let everything roll in before any of this happened. She had, not to mention all the PPP money that I'm sure that she received, because like everybody was receiving that at the time, as they should have been able to. I agree with the fact that people should be allowed to receive that. But she wasn't like some victim, is the point. She's pretending to be a ridiculous victim.
Book. There was no, patriotic deals or brands. My Instagram was, 5,000 people. There was nothing. It was like, I have nothing to look forward to. I have no idea what you're doing, but I trust you anyway.
Wow.
Now, what you see.
Hey, 5,000 subbies is not nothing.
Now, 4 years later, is a result of knowing that God would be faithful and him now proving that he has been faithful.
Did it come in just little tiny baby steps?
Wait, God was faithful to her?
One little thing would happen and give you a little breathing room.
Yep.
How did you guys make, if this is not too personal, how did you live during this transition?
They had a ton of money, of course. They owned multiple stores. They could have sold one of them and lived off the money for like years. It's certainly worth millions, right?
Time, no money's coming in. I mean, maybe you had enough savings to live and move. I don't know, but I've been in that place before where everything I had was being reinvested in the business. So I know what that's like. And there were times I was doing that, but I didn't have a dime in savings. So I don't know what you had.
Well, we were, I mean, thank some of the things I'm like, thank God at least had that. Our house in Oregon sold for, of course, we had built it. So twice as much as we had built it for.
Millions, certainly, right? I'd be surprised otherwise. She built her house from scratch. You know how much money you have to be able to do that? Like a lot, okay? She's pretending that she's some victim that's going to go broke and she's destitute if she doesn't get back to work. It's disgusting, honestly, because there are actually people who would go destitute if they couldn't get back to work during COVID. People who rely on a single income. And this woman was filthy rich and blaming everything and everybody around her. You know what my problem is really with this whole equation here? What my problem is with people like Patriot Barbie? My problem is that there's a fundamental selfishness in here. She doesn't care what your problems are or who you are or what's going on in your life or whatever. She doesn't care. She cares about her and only her, what she has going on and how she can make that thing better. It's weird to see this pattern of behavior to be so common in the conservative realm or whatever. Why is it that every conservative builds their whole life philosophy off of selfishness, not giving a shit about anybody else? That's the exact opposite of what Jesus taught, isn't it? Love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus was in direct opposition to who these people are in their hearts. It's just mind-blowing to me, honestly.
And the economy somehow was skyrocketing. Trump was still in office, so the houses were.
Oh my God, yeah. The economy is skyrocketing. Is she describing right before COVID happened? Which happened under Trump, by the way, of course. The economy wasn't skyrocketing. It was just on a gradual incline, as it always is. If she thinks that was skyrocketing, she needs to take a look at where the economy is now, right?
Still at a great value. Interest rates were great. We sold it for enough to buy a house in Arizona.
Wow.
At half the price and still have some left over to live off for a while.
Oh, so she's filthy rich then, is what she's telling us, right? Is that a fair assessment?
And, the first year in Arizona was oh my gosh, we were just doing whatever we thought God wanted us to do. We were certainly not doing what he truly wanted us to do. I was still trying to think, well, maybe I'll go back and do hair and I'll try to do hair in Arizona. And I was actually flying back to Oregon and doing my clients in someone else's salon for the first year. Yeah, flying there, doing a bunch of hair for a week and flying home. It was the only way I knew how to make money.
She was what? One more time.
Thought God wanted us to do. We were certainly not doing what he truly wanted us to do. I was still trying to think, well, maybe I'll go back and do hair and I'll try to do hair in Arizona. And I was actually flying back to Oregon and doing my clients in someone else's salon for the first year. Yeah, flying there.
She was flying there to do people's hair and then flying home again. Tell me again how destitute and broke and poor and impoverished you were when I was, when I lived in West Virginia, when I was on drugs, for example. I finally got clean, years ago. But when I was on drugs and destitute, destitute doesn't even begin to describe what I had nothing. And I would have never dreamed that I could get on an airplane. She says she's just flying back all willy-nilly. Do you have any idea how much it costs to get on a plane and to do all of the stuff you have to do? Getting all of your stuff ready and checking bags and eating food at restaurants because you don't have a refrigerator to store food in while you're gone and all that stuff. You're telling me that you flew there to cut hair and that paid for the trip and brought in money for you? No. Sorry, man. I'm just I can't buy it. It's ridiculous.
Doing a bunch of hair for a week and flying home. It was the only way I knew how to make money. And that did not last long. I mean, I lost clients every single time I flew up because my schedule was so distinct. And I was getting bolder and bolder and bolder by the day with my newfound freedom.
Boulder. Okay. And she's got a lot of freedom now.
So I was starting to lose clients because they're like, okay, well, now you really are a right-wing extremist, or, you know,
Yeah, kind of, like a little, I would say, 100%.
whatever they disagreed with. And so, yeah, so we were doing whatever we could. We flipped houses for a while. As soon as Biden got into office, you know, he destroyed the economy. So we lost that.
That is not. Are you serious? The economy was destroyed by COVID. You've got to be joking. Biden corrected the economy when he got into office. I feel like I can't really like blame Donald Trump for destroying the economy exactly, because it wasn't his fault that a pandemic came along out of nowhere. But I can certainly blame him for how he handled COVID. And I can certainly say Biden was not to blame for a bad economy, and he did fix it.
Yeah.
And it really did. It took me a while to understand. I mean, I had faith in the Lord, but to really hear him be like, sit down, be quiet, and go through the doors that I open. And that's what I want you to do. I got my real estate license down here. He closed the door. I got my hair license down here. He closed the door. And I kept thinking, Lord, I got to make money. And he's like, it's not about making money. It's about you falling into your calling and your purpose. And I went, okay, well, hopefully that makes
talk
some kind of
about
money.
that now. Talk about your discovery. How did you discover this calling then? That's fascinating, because you're an entrepreneur, so am I. So I recognize everything that you're describing, and how many false starts we have before we find out what God really intended all along. So talk about that.
It's it really did. I'm not trying to purposely plug my book, Targeted.
I bet.
But it really was when I wrote my book. And there's a reason that he called me to write it. So
I've come to find that it's like really like painful and embarrassing to mention your book in most situations. So I just don't, because it's like so obvious that you're just trying to plug it sometimes. But I don't know. I mean, it's really not that bad ultimately it doesn't sound that bad. It doesn't feel that bad in the end. So I should really be mentioning the book more often than I do.
He called me to write my book.
OwenMorgan.com, by the way.
Through 4 people in like a 12-hour period. And I went, Lord, write a book? What am I going to write about? Like, you know, the 4 weeks that I fought the government. This is crazy. But so I wrote this book. I didn't ghostwrite it. I sat down at my laptop and I wrote my story.
Yeah, that's hard. I mean, if that's really what she's doing, it's difficult to do for sure.
And when I was writing this, it's kind of like I said earlier, I sat down and I started to tell, okay, well, how did I become so brave and so strong to endure really like the fighting the government and fighting cancel culture and having people hate you?
Oh my God, cancel culture. I get so sick of hearing this shit.
You know, incessantly for, 4 weeks straight, nonstop. Well, I went through an abusive relationship in my 20s, and
I'm sorry to hear that.
I know that emboldened me, but I don't want to write about that. Well, God was like, write about it. You got to write about it. You got to write about how you went back 15 years later and testified against him in court. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Wow.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. That's good. People need to face consequences for their actions,
And I just kept, oh man, my dad's going to read this stuff. And there's a lot of, not fun stuff in there. But I just kept writing. I just kept saying, I'm going to just tell my story in all of its entirety and I go back and edit later. And that is not what happened. What happened is some people write books and they're 100 pages. My book is over 300 pages.
Mine's 400. Yeah. You don't realize how quickly you create stories and how quickly pages just start appearing. It's nuts.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it ended up being my full testimony, full testimony. How did I become this person that could stand up against the government? Well, God prepared me for this my whole life. So I can't.
Okay, what the hell is happening now? This thing just went right back into the ground. I don't understand. There. Okay, I don't know why that was happening. That's super weird. It fixed it again.
Can't talk about 4 weeks that I was super brave without talking about how God has made me brave my entire life and how he's prepared me for this without me even knowing it. And when I wrote that book, I really, truly said to myself, oh my gosh, none of it was an accident. None of it was a blip in my life. None of it.
Oh my God, get over yourself.
He had a purpose for every single thing he allowed me to go through in my life. And that's when I finished it, he kind of said, stop trying to make money. Stop trying to do whatever it is you need to do to make money.
But money is fun.
I have a purpose for you. It's to use your voice. Just let me use you. And I went, okay, I'm going to let you use me. And I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that means. I still don't.
Okay, let me give you a little piece of advice. If somebody says, let me use you, you should know how before you agree to it. I'm just putting it out there.
That's the most amazing thing. I still don't know what it means. But I know that every single morning I wake up, I'm like, okay, Lord, what do you have for me? And it's always something new every day. And who doesn't want to live like that? It's such a beautiful life.
Well, I don't want to live like that. That sounds terrible. Like being used by God 24/7 and you don't know how or why or what the end goal is or anything. In fact, you don't even know who God is or where he came from. Come to think of it. Yeah, I'm good. I'm going to pass on that one. Thank you, though.
About when you were doing when you went back, you're flying back and you're doing private hair salon stuff in the home. I got to ask you this, maybe no one's ever asked you this, but were you because you said some people started leaving you then, were you
Dude, is he going to get to the question or not?
being openly pro-Trump and they didn't like that? I wondered if that you were careful with your words, but
it's called a closed question, and you're not supposed to do these as interviewers. You shouldn't be asking, were you blah, or do you blah. Single word answers you shouldn't be able to answer these questions with like one word. You should be able to answer them with a statement like, why did you feel that blah, blah, blah? That's an open question. I learned about that in psychology classes a bunch. It's been helpful in, interviewing people and stuff. That's like a skill that you learn.
I wonder because, if we've made an error, and we haven't made an error, is we've been irrepressibly pro-Trump. And if you're not that way, you don't get on this program. That's just the way it is.
That's right. I love it.
Ew. Okay.
You're not coming. And I had Mayor Giuliani come on last week or the week before.
He's not a mayor, just like Donald Trump is not the president in the exact same way.
And I quizzed him through his emissaries. I said, is he 1,000% pro-Trump? Is he trying to get pro-Trump? Because you're not coming on. And I'm telling America's mayor, you can't come on my show.
Wow. You know what that sounds like to me? I'm just putting it out there. It sounds like cancel culture to me.
Pro-Trump. So right. It's like, I just think he's talk about your understanding. And by the way, talk about, you met him at one point. Talk about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just for context, when I opened up my salon, I had never talked about who I voted for, never talked about politics ever, was not even like, I didn't have anything on my social media about being a Republican or being pro-Trump or having voted for Trump, nothing. So when they came out and were like, she's a far right-wing extremist, she's a Trumpster. And I was like,
a Trumpster. I love it. Trumpster.
I've never said I was a Trumpster, but
she's saying it again. It wasn't a mistake. I'm a fan. I love that name.
I actually did vote for Trump. So listen, I went and bought my first ever Make America Great Again hat. I didn't even own one. That's how not political I
was. I think I prefer trumpeter rather than Trumpster.
Was.
And I went,
there's my meeting Trump. So I went and bought a MAGA hat, put it on, posted it on Facebook, and that's how I got the name Patriot Barbie. They made a meme out of my face and said,
heckers, I'm getting really messed up over here.
I don't always play Patriot Barbie, but when I do, I kill people's grandmas and I steal people's money. And I was like,
oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, Patriot Barbie is not an insult, you guys. It's like the coolest word ever. I changed all my social media to Patriot Barbie just to
you just grabbed the name and went with it.
Yep. And that's when I say, you guys created this monster, right? You called me that name as an insult. And I literally got the domain. I got the Instagram. I got the Facebook. I am the.
Dude, I just died. I just got totally messed up by that guy. That was like a really hard battle, surprisingly. Okay, sorry. Step back.
That's when I say, you guys created this monster, right? You called me that name as an insult. And I literally got the domain. I got the Instagram. I got the.
I don't think they called her that as an insult, but okay. I think they're just describing her. Either way. Yeah, domain names are hard to get sometimes. Surprisingly, there are very few Owen Morgans out there. You'd think that there'd be more. But I got owenmorgan.com. What are the chances, right? I think that's really cool.
Facebook, I am the Patriot Barbie. That's my identity now. And so I go to speak places as the Patriot Barbie. And I was at Mar-a-Lago. This is my Trump story. I was at Mar-a-Lago. I was speaking at Trump International. And I was told he always comes in because this is his golf course. He always comes in and says hi. And I was like, I'm going to meet Trump today. And I had told the Lord, when I meet Trump, he's going to know who I am. And it's not going to be like a walk up, shake your hand, like goodbye. It's going to be special. And
it feels like she kind of like worships the guy, right? Is that just me?
He never showed up that day when I was speaking. And I was like, okay, God has other plans. I'm not supposed to meet him today. But the next
God has other like, where does God come into this equation? I don't understand how she's reaching these conclusions.
next day, I was at a breakfast, and there was only 40 people at the breakfast, and it was in this small room in Mar-a-Lago. And the lady running the event gets on the microphone, and everybody sit down now, sit down. And I was like, oh, he's coming. So we sit down. We're like little kids, just like waiting. And in he walks, and there's only 40 people, and we're making a little horseshoe around him. And I'm wearing this big red bow, and I kind of sneak over to the side, and I'm videotaping. And then I just kind of put my phone down, and I'm just watching. And he keeps looking over at me. And I know that he's looking at me because I'm not in the crowd. I'm kind of off to myself.
Is he trying to get all up on that or something?
Yeah.
And he keeps looking over. And the last thing he does is says, well, you guys keep up the good work. I like that red ribbon you're wearing. And just as a side note, and I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you. And I smile. And the crowd starts saying, that's Patriot Barbie. That's Patriot Barbie. And he looks over at this woman you see in the video with the white jacket. He looks over and goes, who is that? And she goes, it's Patriot Barbie. And he goes, Patriot Barbie. Okay, come on up here. And he calls me up. And I'm like, oh, I put my phone down. You can see.
He's very obviously fraternizing with her, right? Is it just me? It seems like he's trying to get up on that.
I'm not holding my phone. I set it on the table. I walked up, and I just wanted to be fully in the moment. And fully in the moment for me meant speechless. Like I didn't know what to do. I curtsied. He commented on my tattoos, and just that's it, really. He commented on
Dude, how am I supposed to beat this? This is crazy.
my tattoos, and then it was like, okay, moving on. I hope that next time I meet him, I have more to say, but I was just so like in shock.
But I mean,
yeah, he was trying to get up on that. I'm very confident.
you get that picture's forever. They can't take that
That's
away
right.
from you. And
That's right.
he's giving you his full attention. That's an
Yep.
amazing thing. And you
Yeah.
had kind of, sounds to me like you'd almost declared and decreed a thing that this is what he's going to recognize. What was it that you had said to the Lord about that beforehand?
Well, I had I think at least 2 opportunities to meet Trump. And when I say
Yeah.
meet Trump, you know how you see the pictures of people shaking his hand on his
Yeah.
backdrop, and then that's it. You walk up, you shake his hand, you take a picture, and you walk away. You don't touch him or anything, right? I had multiple opportunities to do that, and I went,
Dude, I don't know how to beat this.
no, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to just walk up and
You could have done it and you just declined.
yeah, I just didn't. I said, I want to meet him the way that I envision meeting him, that he knows, I know that he knows my story because I met someone that was an advisor to Trump, and he sat next to me at an event I was speaking at, and he said, oh, we were watching your story in the White House. And I went, oh my gosh, that's insane.
Really?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh yeah, we were all rooting for you in the
Yeah, I guess she was like super famous.
White House. And I went, oh my word. So it's like, I know he knows my story. I know that he saw, it was global, and it was like one of very few people that were defying the lockdowns. And, I don't want to walk up to him and be like, I'm important, look at me. I defied the lockdowns. What I'm doing now is way more important than that, right? What I'm doing now is more of a ministry and more like speaking
Oh my God.
truth boldly for Jesus. And if I could go back to meeting Trump a month ago, I would say, can I pray for you? That's what I would really
Ugh, God, she's pandering so hard to like the evangelical nutcases. It's painful.
want, is to pray for him and have that moment where I prayed for like the leader of the free world. But I just felt like when I meet him, I want to have an opportunity that he knows who I am.
Yeah.
And that our relationship is more I don't want to say intimate, but like, it's a
Intimate. Sounds like that is what she meant, right?
relationship.
Yeah,
It's not
a real friendship. In
yeah.
other words.
And so I had told God, I trust that you're going to allow me to meet him in the right way, not just to walk up, take a picture. And so to me, this was like another fulfillment of the Lord's promise to me, or what I had spoke to the Lord and said, this is what I want. And it happened, right? Because people are saying, that's the Patriot Barbie, it's Patriot Barbie. And I'm like, okay, he knows that I'm the Patriot Barbie. He knows that I'm covered in tattoos. He knows, he doesn't know that my name is Lindsey Graham, which I think that'll be funny when he finds out.
That way, that would
Yeah.
be funny. That's we'll just those like you. I say you're the good one. You're the good Lindsey
Yeah,
Graham. So
that's right.
that's
Oh yeah, because Lindsey Graham, the senator or whatever. Yeah, I guess they don't like Lindsey Graham very much. That's kind of funny.
we'll talk about okay. So you ended up at Mar-a-Lago because fame had preceded you, obviously, or you probably wouldn't have been there. What is your life like now? What is your it's kind of a multifaceted question. I'm asking about what is your day-to-day thing. Are you doing stuff like this, or is it more stuff like going to Turning Point, speaking before crowds, and then talk about what God is, God obviously is continuing to work with you and build your relationship, but you must be hitting new levels of understanding of who the Lord is, I would think.
Yeah, I very much am. I feel so strongly that, I mean, so what I mainly do is I mainly keynote speak, and not necessarily for Turning Point. I've actually never spoken for Turning Point, but I speak at a lot of the Republican events, the Lincoln Day dinners, women's events, and now women's ministry events, which I love, and just a lot of political stuff. And I'll be speaking at more pro-life, like fundraisers and rallies in the next year. And when I speak, I write all my speeches. And this is so crazy. This is also how God works. I've been a writer my whole life. Well,
really?
It's so
Apparently so. It's actually very difficult to write a book like that. So
funny that he would call me to write a book. And I went, well, I actually am a pretty good writer. So, okay. And now I write my own speeches. I don't
not to toot my own horn. Toot, toot, baby, toot, toot.
have a speechwriter or anything like that. And when I go there, I always make sure that my story glorifies God. It can never be about me. It can never be about how brave I was or how strong I was. It was about God called me into this, and God made me strong and courageous. And God, gave me the Joshua 1:9 verse as my power verse. And every day is strong and courageous, right? We're fighting these people every single day. And so every day I need God. I need his power. I need him to make sure that no weapon formed against me prospers. I need to put on the full armor. I need to know that if I'm doing his will, he is protecting me from these things. And he is, by the way. The kind of cancel culture that I received in Oregon.
Oh my God. Cancel culture, cancel culture. Is that all she can talk about, really? People just don't want to buy stuff from you anymore. That's it. She's such a victim. Get over yourself.
I'm so glad they got it out because it does not harm me now. And that was his plan. People make fun of my looks. They make fun of everything about me, everything. And I'm like, I don't care. My identity is in Christ. And that was the gift that he gave me in 2020.
Wow.
Was recognizing that these people will say anything about me. They'll call me a racist and a white supremacist. And when you realize,
well, I mean, she is a racist and a white supremacist. So yeah.
I'm not any of those things. So do I allow you to dictate what I am? Well, if I don't allow you to dictate who I am, then who am I really? Well, God tells me who I am. So I know who I am now. And this stuff rolls right off. And that is why he allows me to be in this fight every day, because I can endure the left. I can endure the hate. I can endure the threats. And the more they come, the more I realize I'm doing what's right. And so totally forgot the question.
Well,
okay.
No, I mean, you're actually answering it because you're talking about the process of what your life is like and your relationship with God. You're building on it, and let me turn the
Holy Christ, dude, that was difficult. I cannot believe I beat that. Level 19. Wow.
conversation a little bit because I saw a picture that you supplied with us about a baby that had. It was a representative picture of a baby. If we can put that up. And you just talk with this to tell people what the.
Oh my God, dude. Doll represents how many vaccines a child receives by age 2. Oh boy, would they be upset to know how many medications they've taken in their whole lives. This is like the most dirty, underhanded propaganda I've seen in a while, at least, I think. It's just disgusting. It's very obviously simply intended to deceive people into thinking that vaccines are bad or dangerous or evil or whatever. Vaccines are a good thing. They're valuable and helpful to society. And seeing a picture like this, you should be excited. You should be happy that people are getting vaccinated like this. It's good. My God. It's just does it get more underhanded?
This
is a representation of, to me, what the government what big pharma, what medicine is doing to our children. This is something that you would have never seen me talk about 4 years ago.
Because it's dumb as dog shit.
I mean, my first 2 kids are fully vaccinated, right?
Yeah.
But here's what happened. When I woke up, man, I really woke up. Like the Lord started revealing everything to me. And and I'm not even down the rabbit hole yet. I honestly am not.
Yes, you are. If she doesn't think she's down the rabbit hole right now, I would hate to see what down the rabbit hole looks like for her. Holy shit.
But here's what happened is when they lied to us about COVID and they
Who is they? Are they in the room with us right now? Nobody lied to us about COVID. God, she lives in an alternate reality.
lied to us about the pandemic and they used it to control us.
Plandemic.
I went, first of all, the government's a liar. And now we know that big pharma is a liar. We know that you're liars.
This is just fictitious nonsense, okay? Every major corporation lies to some degree. It's actually against the law to make a decision that is not most beneficial for the company. You must make decisions most beneficial for the company. Even if that means hurting general society in some way. If it's not against the law or against regulations to pump lead into the atmosphere, and pumping lead into the atmosphere is financially advantageous to your company, you can be removed as CEO for refusing to pump lead into the atmosphere. That's how the law works. You're legally obligated to do that. Of course, you can't trust big pharma 100%. It's a corporation. You should take everything that they say or do with a dose of skepticism. For example, Johnson & Johnson right now is in all kinds of shit because they were selling, God, there's a fruit fly here. They were selling talcum powder that had asbestos in it because talcum powder is impossible to separate from asbestos. They're mined in the same mines or whatever, and you just can't separate them. And Johnson & Johnson knew that and continued selling it anyway. They may actually be facing legal ramifications for that. I don't know. We'll see. But either way, that's an example of people being basically legally required to do things that are harmful to society simply because it's beneficial to the company. That's it. It's just you should never rely on companies to do the right thing. You need to force them to do the right thing through regulation. And this person here is very obviously anti-regulation. What does she want to do? Just delete big pharma? She just want to stop researching medicine? I don't know.
Well, once I know that you're a liar, then I can't trust you with anything. Right. It's not that I can't trust you about this. If you're a liar, I can't trust you. So I went back and I started thinking and I started paying attention to all these other people that have gone down the rabbit hole and realized.
Down the rabbit hole.
I believe that your COVID, I hope you don't get banned for anything I say.
No, we're on Rumble. Okay. You can say whatever you want.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
I believe that your COVID vaccine is killing people. I believe that it's injuring people. I believe that. And I believe that because the Lord tells me, not because I'm buying into some propaganda or I'm a right-wing.
No, you're buying into propaganda. You're definitely doing that. That is happening for sure.
Conspiracy theorist. I believe it because I know that it's happening and I know that you're a liar. So if you're a liar and I can't trust you, I'm going to go ahead and inadvertently trust the other side.
Okay. Wow. So many logical fallacies in a single sentence. I actually impressed that she managed so many fallacies like that. That's actually crazy. Let me just step back for a second and reanalyze what she just said. Hang on.
Whatever you want.
Okay. I believe that your COVID vaccine is killing people. I believe that it's injuring people. I believe that. And I believe that because. Okay.
She believes that the vaccine is injuring people. She has no actual reason to believe that, but she believes it. Okay. So this is a belief versus no type of deal, right? That's one of the problems right there.
The Lord tells me, not because I'm buying into some propaganda or I'm a right-wing conspiracy theorist. I believe it because I know that it's happening and I know that you're a liar. So if you're a liar and I can't trust you, I'm going to go ahead and inadvertently trust the other side and what they're saying.
Saying you're going to automatically trust the other side is ridiculous. Where is her head? How does she come to these conclusions that it's a good idea to do that? What the hell is she talking about?
Good.
And so
Good, he says.
If you've lied to us about this vaccine and this medicine and this pandemic, then I would bet money that you are lying about a lot of other things. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to start with the fact that you think all of these vaccines are saving our kids' lives. I think that you're lying about that too. So my third baby has not had, I think he had vaccines when he came out of the womb because I wasn't awake, right? That was prior to 2020.
You think your kid was vaccinated the moment the kid came out? That's not how this works. Are you serious? I got to write this down. Why does she think that? Did she have any reason to believe that? Did somebody tell her that? She says it was March of 2020. I don't know which vaccine she thinks her kid received, but the COVID vaccine wouldn't be out for like a while still, for like a year or something. And also, well, okay, not a year, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months maybe. Also, Trump released, let me rephrase. Also, the vaccine released under Trump. I wonder why she's so opposed to it. This is wild to me.
I think that you're lying about that too. So my third baby has not had, I think he had vaccines when he came out of the womb because I wasn't awake, right? That was prior to 2020. That was March of 2020. Now I'm like, nope, we don't go to the doctor. We don't mask up. We don't take medications. We don't get well baby checkups so that you can shame me into getting my kids vaccinated.
Holy shit, dude. I hope that kid survives. When I was little, my mom was like a wellness type of person. She gave me like homeopathic medicines and remedies. And she also took me to a homeopathic doctor. It's not even like right to call him a doctor. He's not a doctor. But I looked into it later, not even that long ago. And as far as I can tell, my homeopathic doctor was a doctor in that like realm because he had his medical license stripped after he got a bunch of kids killed or something. I forget exactly what happened, like what he did, but he was responsible for their deaths and had his medical license stripped. Holy shit. That is insane. I can't believe I survived it. And honestly, I'm not even sure if I have vaccines. I don't know if I've been vaccinated. My mom took me to a chicken pox party when I was little. So thanks for the shingles, Mom, for that one. Appreciate that. Oh, yeah. And also, when I was little, I had a no blood card. Like, I can't take blood transfusions. I can't believe I made it through childhood. And I will be surprised if her kids make it all the way through, truthfully. And I'm really sad for them.
Yeah.
And these are the kind of memes, that meme that I posted with the baby, to get people angry. I'm going to say pissed off.
Why do you want to get people angry?
This pisses people off because, now you're a conspiracy and now you're.
Well, it's disgusting. Like it's evil what you're doing right now. This is just awful. She is directly leading to the deaths of countless people by propagandizing about vaccines like this.
You're going to let other children die because you're telling people not to do the safe thing, which is does that look safe to you?
That specific thing? Oh, well, I think that pointy objects are dangerous to be around, baby. But that's not what's happening here. They give kids vaccines to protect them from illness. Did she have any idea how many people's lives have been saved by this? Certainly, like, compared to how many people have died as a result of this. There's absolutely no comparison. It's just, like, wrong that she's doing this.
No, I mean really.
Is that how God created us?
I'm a child.
Well, God created us with brains so incredible that we're capable of inventing solutions to problems that weren't even like conceived of before. You could thank God for that, couldn't you? And this poor fool is getting people killed by propagandizing about it. It's just disgusting, straight up.
Child of the 50s, and we had 3 or 4 in our entire life, and now somehow in an environment where the deep state, the big pharma lies about everything, which you just said, people are believing that a little newborn baby needs that many shots of a strange substance.
A little newborn baby doesn't need that many shots. It takes time for kids to get vaccinated. Stuff's been studied into the ground, okay? We know how this stuff affects kids, and it does not affect kids adversely. It's just like really, really terrible that these people are obsessed with propagandizing about this. I mean, I have to imagine that this was a psychological operation from some foreign states, right? The United States ran psyops against the Philippines, against China, and you know, made people think that like China was dangerous and they're the reason for COVID happening and you shouldn't get vaccines from them and all kinds of other stuff. It's truly the heart of evil, honestly. So this kind of like psychological operation happens all the time, and it seems like she fell victim to it.
Since none of which did they ask you permission if they could put this in or that graphene or that or
Oh my God, graphene. Graphene isn't in the vaccines, okay? This is one of those conspiracy theories about how graphene oxide is going to slip into your bloodstream and it's going to be activated, whatever the hell that means, by 5G, and it's going to kill you. Get a grip, people. Hold on, I've got something on that. Here we go. On the left, Pete Santilli, COVID conspiracist, right-wing talk show host, whatever. On the right is Diana Lorraine. She ran for Congress. She was also a host on InfoWars for a while with Alex Jones. These two poor fools are about to discuss COVID and the vaccine and stuff.
The people now that are learning more.
Oh, I'm sorry. By the way, this is early August 2021. Okay, so this is 10 months after the vaccine came out, roughly.
More about the adverse impact of getting vaccinated. They're having regrets about it because
what people are having regrets about getting vaccinated specifically?
We're hearing about this shedding that's going on, and
the vaccine shedding,
and also the activation of the graphene oxide. It's actually sitting there dormant, but if it gets energized by something like 5G, it actually kills all the cells around it. That is so crazy to me.
You know, if you say to yourself, this is absolutely crazy, maybe like reconsider, maybe like really put it through the mental tests to make sure it's 100% real before going out there on a gigantic platform and spreading this stuff to poor fools who don't know any better. Regarding shedding, vaccine shedding, this is something that can happen with certain vaccines, but it's extremely uncommon, and it doesn't happen with the COVID vaccine. He doesn't understand like how the shedding thing works at all. Years ago, Bill Gates Bill Gates has always supplied vaccines to like underdeveloped countries with like low funding, right? And there was a vaccine, a polio vaccine, that was paid for by like lots and lots of wealthy donors. So they pay for this vaccine to be like disseminated through this society. But the cheapest form of the polio vaccine is actually an oral vaccine. So they basically kill the virus. They effectively like it's soaking it in acid to destroy the part of it that's alive. And then they put it in a cup where you drink it and your body recognizes the DNA and creates antibodies for it. So if the polio virus is alive and comes around, it won't affect you. You'll already be inoculated against it. But whatever company produced the vaccine did a poor job because it was so inexpensive. And the vaccine wasn't completely inactive, and it infected people with COVID. And it infected people with polio. That's called shedding. That doesn't happen if it's made properly. And it only happens with certain types of vaccines. It doesn't happen all the time. Where the hell do I go to get to that last one, I wonder? I have to go up over those mountains? So this shedding thing that he's complaining about right now is effectively fictitious. It's certainly fictitious with the COVID vaccine. This does not happen. Regarding the graphene oxide or 5G or whatever, I'm sure I don't even need to say it, but this is just made up. This is just made up nonsense. There is no graphene oxide or whatever in the vaccine. And even if there were, it wouldn't like activate 5G or whatever. Like, what the hell, people?
I mean, can you imagine if they just like activate and said, oh, all right, 1 million people are going to be gone, just by energizing the graphene oxide.
Energizing the graphene oxide. My God, bro.
And that's the thing. People don't really know exactly what's in it.
No, we know exactly what's in it. Actually, we do in great detail. And you know why? Because we have to account for allergies. People can't just give you something without knowing what's in it like that. Aside from that, we even have a pretty good idea of how it's produced. I read about it not too long ago, and to my knowledge, it's basically produced by letting a fungus grow on like a bunch of melons and then doing some extracts, like, you know, infecting these melons with this fungus, which is subsequently infected with this virus, and the melons like produce antibodies or something. I don't even know exactly. I'm not 100% sure, but the point is that we have a pretty good idea of how it's produced.
You know, those people, Biden, even Trump, any of these representatives, you know, they're not taking the real vaccine live on TV when they pretend that they do.
You know? How do you know that? Who told you that? I mean, Trump didn't do it publicly, but he took the vaccine, right? He didn't like sit down in front of an audience and take it, but Trump was public about the fact that he took the vaccine, wasn't he?
Or this thing, and these little microscopic tracking thing, they just put in whatever they
Microscopic tracking thing?
You just said. People are believing that a little newborn baby needs that many shots of a strange substance, none of which did they ask you permission if they could put this in or that graphene or that.
Oh my God.
Or this thing, and these little microscopic tracking thing.
Get a grip on reality. Seriously, this is a problem.
They just put in whatever they want, and they tell you that this baby needs it. And then next 6 months they need a booster, and it's the evilness. You know, you can tell I'm on this. You know, it's not like I'm on the Trump train. I'm on the train that says let's get ourselves back. I am on the Trump train, but you know,
but I'm also on another train.
Yeah. We're and like you said, we're waking up every single day. We wake up more than we were the day before because we hear something else about what they're putting into our food. Yeah, that's talk about the wake up thing. How have you gotten to the food stuff yet, or are you on?
Oh no,
big pharma still.
I'm it's all. So here's what I'm microdosing myself with awakeness, right?
Microdosing. Okay, the only time I've ever heard that term, it was in reference to acid. So I'm not even sure exactly what you're talking about.
So like, yes, I'm buying vegetables that are not chemically treated. Yes, I believe that as far as like snacks for my kids and crackers and preserved foods, it's got crap in it.
I'm sure I don't even need to say it, but I'm going to anyway. Everything that she's saying right now is made up garbage. This whole treated with chemicals thing, whatever, like it's all made up.
The point where now I only shop online for toxic-free products, all from one store, right? I promote this on my
toxic-free products
Instagram all the time, myfreedomcart.com. It's all toiletries, makeup, skincare, vitamins, supplements, cleaning. It's all toxic free. It's all made in America. All right,
let me tell you something about like foods and, you know, whatever other products there are out there that she thinks might have toxins in them. All of this stuff is studied into the ground because people want to understand if it's actually safe for human consumption. Sometimes there is way too much sugar and stuff. Sometimes there are way too many preservatives. But you know what? Science recognizes when that's a problem and communicates it to people. Say, this is not good. You shouldn't like be taking this in or whatever. We can look to science for the answers to this stuff. Not only is she distrusting big pharma and big food, big bird, I don't even know. Not only is she distrusting all of that stuff, but she's also distrusting science in addition to it. When scientists have done absolutely insane levels of rigorous testing.
Buy meat that doesn't have the hormone injected or the mRNA injected in it, that's raised on grass.
Doesn't have mRNA injected. What?
It's controlled and grown, right?
Yeah.
So, but I'm not like, I have my own garden and we
Dude, what is beeping in the background?
we raise our own cows. Like I'm not there yet. And I'm not
You're doing better. You're doing better than we are.
Yeah.
We haven't, we've got a couple of those places that we order from, and it's like, I'll show my wife from time to almost one or two times a week. I'll say, look at this video that's been posted on Instagram. Look what they're dipping vegetables in that we buy at the grocery store. This yellow substance. Look what they're dipping this.
Like this guy is so lost at this point, isn't he? He's just gone, it seems to me. How do you pull somebody back from this, honestly? I don't even know what to do with this. Also, Businessman's Hideout. I don't remember this. Hey, you, quit that. Knocking over my Cheez-Its and stuff. Leave my Cheez-Its alone. It's Miki. Of course, she's getting into everything.
Yeah.
These dyes, look what the, it's unbelievable. I saw an actual video of little newborn baby chicks, right? By the hundreds and thousands. And there's a factory and there's this machine and they're grabbing these chicks, putting them up, hanging them by their neck by some device and injecting them with a needle of something.
Okay, that's disturbing and disgusting and wrong, and that kind of thing does happen. I don't know about the needle or whatever, but baby chicks are terribly mistreated. Disgustingly. It's wrong, it's evil, it's bad. And as a society, we need to do something about that to like correct the mistreatment of animals that we see. Absolutely. Like, I'm not a vegan, but I do have I do put some moral weight on animals of various sorts. They deserve our moral consideration. So I guess I can agree that like this is wrong, but this guy is taking it like an additional step beyond just, oh, we need to treat animals better. He's taking it into, I don't really give a shit about animals. I give a shit about them injecting vaccines into animals and then I'm eating those animals. Jesus, dude.
My gosh.
And these are the chickens that are going to end up in our chicken that we buy at the store. And I'm thinking, are you flipping kidding?
Yep.
And I'm saying this on purpose out loud on this channel. So more and more people today will be way awake than were yesterday.
Yeah. And this is what they're counting on. And mind you, there is no judgment from this side of the panel because remember, I was this mom prior to 4 years ago. I was this mom, not paying attention to the TV shows. I had Netflix. I was shopping on Amazon like a boss. I mean,
oh, you can't use Netflix or Amazon?
Supporting all the woke companies, didn't care. What does woke mean? I don't even know. Now I encourage other people to do it, but understand that we're all in this waking up process together.
Yeah.
And so, like, yes, 5 months ago, I was buying chicken at the store.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, nope, I'm only getting it from a company where they don't inject the hormones. 6 months ago, I was buying beef from the store.
There are like honest arguments against getting like hormone injected beef or whatever. But again, she is so disconnected from any kind of anything at all. She has no clue what she's talking about. But she's got this wild obsession with like hormones being used to control her brain or something. It isn't even about like the health benefits. She's not even listening to science. It's absolutely insane.
Now I only buy it from Riverbend Ranch where I know the exact process. It's like every day is something new. All my household stuff is toxic free. I've stopped getting, Botox and fillers. I'm very open about that journey on my Instagram as well.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's just like, they're counting on the moms like me 4 years ago, the people, the Americans who aren't paying attention to keep funding them. But if we continue to wake people up little by little without judgment, but just exposure and just, here and there dropping little nuggets of truth, eventually we're not all going to go full crazy rabbit hole. Like I live out off the grid with,
it sounds like that's what you're doing right now.
This water on a well, but we are going to take little steps here and there to start improving our families' lives. And I mean, it's going to save lives. It really, really is. There's an issue. Let's just go crazy, right? There's an issue with,
dude, what is the beeping? Quit that beeping. Damn.
The transgender. Like it's my child just did something can you guys hear that alarm? I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear the damn alarm. Oh my God.
I can hear a little bit. Yeah, that's all right.
There's something with the transgender movement, and it's not just propaganda and indoctrination. There is something chemically wrong where children think, I'm not a tomboy, I was supposed to be a boy. And so
so she thinks that people are actually like chemically being manipulated or something into being trans. Like, what?
So you have to ask yourself, okay, 15 years ago, the last 15 years, the last 10 years, what's happened? Is it our food? Is it our water?
Like this whole thing about like people are going off the rails and becoming trans at like at a disturbing rate? No, not really. They're not actually. There are more people becoming trans right now or coming out as trans right now than there were 30 years ago. And in a vacuum, you could say, wow, this is like getting really intense. It's grown up by like 500%. But the rate of people being trans going from like 3,000 people out of 325 million going up to like 12,000 in 325 million is not that dramatic of a jump. Those aren't the accurate numbers, obviously. I'm just like giving an example here.
Is it the vaccines? Is it something in the air?
No.
What is it? It's
nothing. It's not happening. There's no crazy big rate of people turning trans like this.
Is it all of the above?
Is it
It's
all of it?
probably all of the above.
Yes.
You know, I used to hear about chemtrails. I heard about it for decades.
Oh, no.
I thought, no, not really. Well, yeah, really.
No. Oh, my God, dude.
But only this year, maybe last year, did I begin to realize,
Mhm.
wait, they really are? They're all really, chemtrails, they're really poisoning cities.
Yep.
They really are.
This is a joke. Chemtrails are interesting to me because it's like there's this belief that people are flying airplanes over cities and dropping chemicals across the cities. Why would anybody do that when it's going to affect them too? If you release a poison into the air, how are you going to deal with that? And what's the point of the poison? In the case of chemtrails, people like these two right here believe that chemtrails are designed to control people's minds. I'm just like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I still can't figure out how they're allowing it, because why don't they follow
They're not.
that plane and arrest everybody? I still don't understand.
Same way they're vaccinating our children and putting crap in the food, like the government. I mean, let's go crazy. I mean, there's someone somewhere is all.
Wait, let's go crazy. You tell me you haven't done that yet? Oh, God.
That plane and arrest everybody. I still don't understand.
Same way they're vaccinating our children and putting crap in the food, like the government. I mean, let's go crazy. I mean, there's someone somewhere is all bought out. If you'll just allow this product into the food, this is what it's going to do to people. It makes them more controllable. Well, why wouldn't the government be like, let's do it? Right? Because everything that they're doing to us makes us controllable.
Yeah.
And that started with the lockdowns. And then they
Yeah.
shut down everything that made people healthy. You couldn't work out. You couldn't socialize. You couldn't have people.
You could do, what are you talking about? You couldn't work out or socialize. Yes, you could. Who told you that you're not allowed to work out or socialize? Honestly, you can do any of those things from a distance or in person. In the early days of the pandemic, with, you know, the first month or two that it was a big problem, you couldn't organize a party where a bunch of people come in and, you know, hang out and have dinner and party and all that other stuff. Like, that was the thing. And it didn't even last that long. She's such a victim.
People over. Like, it was the start of let's make our America a weaker, more controllable America.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what they got.
Yeah.
Now, if you think if our food is making us unhealthy, fat, lazy, and like walking around in a fog, that makes us more controllable too. But the best thing we can do.
Why would anybody do that? That's like damaging to society. That's damaging to our economy and our populace and everything. Why would somebody want to make our country weaker, if not like an enemy nation? And an enemy nation would never be given access to like release chemicals into like our food supply or anything. Like the government watches for that shit like a hawk. But it's the government doing it, right? The US government? Totally.
Besides like detoxing your house, eating clean, and working out and being healthy, is praying for that discernment.
I wonder what detoxing your house entails in her mind.
Praying like,
Absolutely.
Lord, there is craziness out there. Would you reveal the demons to me? Would you reveal the unhealth to me? Would you
Good for
open
you.
my eyes? Because it says that we're going to have shields on our eyes. I don't want to be one of those people, and I don't have my own capacity. So I need the Lord to literally give me that discernment every day. Am I off my rocker, Lord? Or should I be way more diligent about this? And
She didn't get an answer from the Lord because the Lord doesn't answer prayers like that. So she took that as an affirmation that she's not off her rocker.
he'll tell you,
Really
right?
good.
Because he wants
Really
to protect
good.
you. So
Do you
that's the
have-
best thing we could do.
Let me ask you this, Lindsay. Does your book have these sources and places where people can order food? Is that in your target? book at all?
It's not in Targeted, but it is all over my Instagram, and it's on my patriotbarbie.com website. If
Oh, is she selling like what do you call it? Like non-GMO or whatever, non-processed foods? Now I understand why she's spreading propaganda like this.
If you go to myfreedomcart.com and you put your information in, yep,
There
that's
it is.
exactly
Okay.
it. Yeah, it is one USA manufacturer where they ship directly from their plant to your house, just like Amazon, and everything is toxic free and everything's made in America.
What does toxic free mean exactly, I wonder?
So
Wow.
my kids' toothpaste, our body wash, my hairspray, my skincare, my makeup, all my makeup is toxic free. Snacks, protein, vitamins, like you can convert your whole household. I have a lady cleaning my house right now, and she doesn't even bring cleaning supplies because I'm like, here's what you can use. A disinfectant that doesn't say you can't use it in your food. And then you tell me to spray my kitchen counter with it.
Are you spraying your counter and then laying food on top of the disinfectant after spraying it? You're not supposed to do that. Is that the problem? Is that where like her ideas came from? She was like effectively eating disinfectant. You're supposed to wait for it to dry at least, or put it on a cutting board, which has been washed with regular soap. Is soap bad, I wonder, in her mind? This is absolutely insane.
So yeah, it's like
Really?
little
Wow.
steps here and there. Yeah. And this was an easy conversion for me.
Well,
I mean,
you're a
it's like,
fast waker upper.
Fast waker upper.
yes.
We're in there, but you're a few steps ahead of us because I'm not that toxic free yet. But you know, we
Oh.
got to the antiperspirant is now toxic
Yep.
free, no
Yep.
aluminum,
Toxic free antiperspirant.
and it's natural. I got a couple things. I realized that the body wash that I use really hasn't been. I need to go to this place and check that out. But
Yep.
there's so many things, and I said,
Like, I feel like you can very obviously, not to knock plastic surgery or anything, is some people, some people have a problem with plastic surgery, but it seems to me that there are very obviously like lip fillers in her lips, right? I don't think that looks good, honestly. I would recommend not doing that. I think it looks weird. It makes you look really strange sometimes. I mean, I guess you can do it to a degree where you can't tell. And that's honestly the goal, seems to me. With plastic surgery, you should be doing it just enough that people can't tell that you're doing it. But she doesn't seem to care about that. She like blew right past that point.
to my wife Dream recently, I said, we're going to spend the rest of our lives replacing every single thing we've gotten used to using,
Mhm.
and the rest of our lives learning. Hopefully I keep thinking that when Trump comes back, I know he's talked about they're going to have a special committee, that's not the right word, a round table or something of all the medical doctors where they're going to find out what's poisoning us, what's killing us.
Mhm.
They need to outlaw probably a couple hundred chemicals that are disallowed to be in food or anything else. They need
Oh my God.
to make them illegal. I
Yeah.
think they're going to do that. I think he's going to do that.
Like, we can look to science and find out if this stuff is harmful. If it's harmful, get rid of it. See how simple that is? The stuff that these two poor fools are like freaking out about are not harmful. Chemtrails are not happening, okay? It's contrails created by like jets. It's not chemicals being like dropped over cities or whatever. It's just insane to me. Like, how did this evolve or whatever? Like, how did this idea, these chemtrails ideas, come to be? Who was the first guy who came up with it, I wonder? It's just wild.
That'd
That's
be
going to
amazing.
help. That's
Yeah.
going to help. But same thing, the whole thing about the wheat that all of our bread's made of the wrong stuff.
Mhm. Yep.
So you have
Bread's made of the wrong stuff?
to be so careful.
You've got,
Well, then- go ahead.
you got them
Go ahead.
saying everybody's got like a gluten allergy all of a sudden,
Yeah.
and it's like, hold on, how are all of these things happening in humanity all of a sudden?
But they're not happening all of a sudden. We just like have better tests to detect various things as we go on, like as we improve our scientific understanding of things, we see more stuff happening. Now, I will grant you, peanut allergies didn't really exist until, I don't know, not that long ago. And that's kind of weird, but there are all kinds of different reasons for that. And the answer is not blaming big tech. The answer is turning to scientists to do double-blind studies and things like that. Finding the answers. It's not propagandizing or lying.
everybody's allergic to something? Or is it possible that you've started putting something else in it that you're not telling us, right?
Oh, okay. Wow. So it's possible people are allergic, but then it's possible that like the government is trying to like trick you and poison you or something. What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Not exactly.
Anything else you want to say? And I'm going to, when we wrap up here, I'm going to have you pray for the people. There's a bunch of people that want to have your boldness and excitement about this whole waking up. But anything else you want to cover before we do that?
No, I just want to say thank you for the platform, and just, I'm hoping to use my platform as a ministry very soon. I'm actually founding a nonprofit called Galatians Girl that's going to, everything I'm doing is going to fund that ministry for women. So if you'd like to buy my book, Targeted, it is actually
no, thank you, madam. I will pass. That's a hard pass for me.
Boldness and some grace for it. So maybe pray
Let's
that
do
in.
it. Let's do it. All right.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear a prayer.
Heavenly Father, thank you so much that you have created me for such a time like this, that I can use my platform and my voice and my spirit to glorify you and to bring more people to you. God, I pray that my vivaciousness and my
vivacious, good word,
love and my passion for you would be contagious, and that people would see that I don't come from a perfect life.
Contagious, vivacious, love it.
Where I've lived a righteous life. Lord, you've allowed me to go through endeavors and experiences to be able to minister to people in a way that is not self-righteous, Lord.
Like, is this a prayer for everybody, or is she just like praying herself and she doesn't care if anybody else understands?
That I am an imperfect person preaching a perfect message of your love. And I pray that everyone would understand that the boldness that I have is not exclusively mine.
She's praying about herself right now. How does this prayer apply to anybody else? Why would anybody be praying along with her in this case?
And it is not purposefully mine. It is everyone's to partake in. And I pray that you would, over the next course of time, give everyone their distinct calling and purpose. We are all created to do something different for you. And it may not be a voice, and it may not be speaking, and it may not be social media. But I pray that you would reveal to everyone their anointment and their purpose for you, Lord, because
I think it's anointing, not for nothing.
We all were to wash away the world and live in a purpose for you, that this world would look very, very different. And so, God, I pray that your Holy Spirit would just anoint everyone listening right now, give them an excitement and a passion and a joy for what you could do in their life if they would just welcome you in and let you, and understand that your way will always be better than their way. And I pray that my story be your glory. I pray that when they hear my story, they would recognize that it's all because of you, that it's all you're doing, that it's all your plan and your purpose. And that,
holy shit, dude, this prayer is so long.
That as we see the lions awaken and take action, that we would be able to turn over America to not politics and not policy and not society, but a complete revival. Because if we change our hearts, if we change hearts for you, then we change everything else. And so we need to bring people to Jesus. And I pray that you would give us all that urgency, Lord. In your name, amen.
Okay.
Amen, amen, amen. Lindsey Graham, thank you so much. Patriot Barbie, what a blessing. What a blessing. I hope you all pick up her book. I know we're
blessing is one word for it, I suppose.
Going to get one right away after this. So have a great day. Thanks, Lindsey.
Thank you so much.
Anyway, wow, that's wild. That is absolutely insane. Tell me what you think about Patriot Barbie here in the comments. I'm just like, I'm blown away that people actually believe this nonsense.